Before renting an apartment, students check security and electricity in person. But now, quality check turns online, and students feel they have to take a leap of faith. With class registration this week, CSAR shows the mode of teaching. But it's not clear if professors will provide asynchronous flexibility for students in different time zones. She found hashtag COVID break hearts, a decal you can put on your window and share on social media. While some international students are excited to be in the central time zone, not everyone is back at school. Good morning, Joey and Nolan. Office of Provost suggests students talk to their professors, academic advisors, and department heads if they have a specific issue with their classes. For general concerns, both ASG and Office of Provost said they're open for suggestions. Back to you. Trump administration expected to vaccinate 20 million Americans by January 1st, but it took until January 24th, 3 weeks later, to meet that goal. Hi, I'm NNN's Hannah Jiang and I have this week's top stories. You're watching News Flash. More than a year since the first local COVID cases, Evanstonians mourn for the city's loss. Hannah Jiang, Northwestern News Network.
Asian lives are under attack!
In Chicago and Evanston, protests and vigils condemning racism against Asians and Asian Americans. Following the mass shooting in Atlanta in which 6 Asian women were killed, racism against Asians and Asian Americans is nothing new.
This was a racism issue. This was a sexism issue. This was a gun violence issue.
Ling An, a student at L Grove High School in Chicago, organized a March for Asian Lives. Hundreds marching with her. As the only Korean American in her school, she says racism is the norm.
There was this drunk man who started running full force towards me, and he was shouting racial slurs. He was calling me Ling Ling. You know, he almost got to me in time, except his friend had grabbed his arm and pulled him away.
How did you live with that?
It was kind of strange because I was used to it.
Studies show Asian hate crimes increased by 149% in 2020 in 16 U.S. cities. In Chicago, 2 cases were reported since 2020.
A lot of the reasons why I think the Chinese elderly have been so safe, in Chicago in particular, is because they themselves are very scared of going out right now.
Annie Yang leads Chinatown Health Initiative, or CTHI, a student organization providing healthcare access to Chinatown residents.
The biggest problems is these seniors feeling really lonely. And I think one of the initiatives that we can do is help them feel more connected.
All the Asians and Asian Americans I spoke to shared they grew up experiencing some kind of racism. Hate against the AAPI community might be more pervasive than what is portrayed on the media for decades. Joey and Diego. Cynthia Ferenga's mom, Dolores R. Ferenga, died in October due to COVID-19. They shared their last moments over a nurse's phone.
She called back and said, I think your mom has about 10 minutes. And she held the phone to my mom's ear for her last minutes. She didn't say anything. I was, talking and crying.
Ferenga's sadness is shared. The city of Evanston records almost 4,000 total cases and 110 deaths since the start of the pandemic.
Because it just wasn't necessary. That's just what kills me. These deaths, some of them were inevitable, but a lot of them weren't.
Ferenga wants permanent memorial for local victims. She found hashtag COVID break hearts, a decal you can put on your window and share on social media.
So that people who see it would reflect on how it came to this. How did it get to be this point?
Many responding with support under her Facebook post.
Somebody will post that they're struggling with something and they need help, and people really, really do provide the help.
Patty Woodmere says she now checks on her neighbors over phone calls.
Now I have a real relationship with these people, even though I have never met any of them.
Columns of light in the sky, honoring Evanston residents who passed away due to COVID-19. Hannah Jiang, Northwestern News Network. When it should be time to sleep, some international students are just starting their day. Amy Ouyang has class from 3 a.m. to 6 a.m. every Saturday. In Chicago, that's 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. Friday afternoon.
After class ends, it's around 6 a.m. and people are moving around in the city. And I could even hear like people talking. I have to, change to pajamas and, wash my face, brush my teeth, and go to bed at 7.
Ouyang says her professor refused to record lectures.
I think he kind of expects a lively discussion. He basically said, if you have to take it in this format, then probably I wouldn't be willing to have you in the class.
She decided not to change classes because time zones limit course options.
We found out that there is really no other classes besides this one that's gonna fit in my schedule. So,
with class registration this week, CSAR shows the mode of teaching. But it's not clear if professors will provide asynchronous flexibility for students in different time zones.
Whether or not they're synchronous, asynchronous, hybrid, it's like a little hard to navigate because a lot of professors are posted as synchronous, but you can take it asynchronously.
Other students say they're frustrated to find synchronous exams in asynchronous classes.
And when it comes to actual exam time, students have to take the exam at a specific time with the rest of their classmates.
A week before winter quarter, the ASG Academic Committee sending letters to deans and professors to suggest offering 2 exam times and broader office hours.
Really, the only responses that I've been getting have been from professors directly, just saying, this is really helpful, thank you. Nothing like we are using this specific point that you brought up.
With spring quarter approaching, Associate Provost Miriam Sharing says remote classes will probably look the same.
Spring quarter is probably going to look a lot like winter quarter. Once a class is set and the time is set, the faculty member isn't required to change the time of a class or an exam. And we understand that's really difficult, so we're hoping students really look carefully when they are registering for a class.
International students calling for attention.
We are somehow forced in these unfortunate situations. So I think that maybe at least have some sympathy for international students.
Reporting from China's Standard Time Zone, Hannah Jiang, Northwestern News Network.